We're talking carnivorous plants today on Pots and Trowels, and that's brought to you with the support of King Seeds and Cobra Garden. Well, we're here at the last day of the Hampton Court Garden Festival. The floor marquee is looking amazing. So many different displays. It's not open yet to the public. It's early morning, so we're having a wander around. Beautiful lilies here. But what I've come to look at are these fantastic plants, which are part of Hampshire Carnivorous Plants display. And Matt is a leading authority. Hiya, Matt.
Morning, Martin. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And how is it for you? Because this is looking amazing.
Oh, it's been really good. It's been busy this week.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of interest because they are so unusual.
They are, aren't they?
Yeah.
Just I bet when people look at them, do they think these are tropical plants that all come from rainforests and we're never going to be able to grow them in the UK?
Exactly. That's what they think when they see them, and they think, oh, they look really difficult. I won't be able to grow those.
Yeah.
So, but in fact, these are North American pitcher plants, and this one, which is right in front of us, luckily, is actually from Nova Scotia in Canada, and will go down as low as -20, so they'll grow anywhere in the UK.
Right, so these are all Sarracenias, aren't
Yep.
they? So people can buy these. Do you grow them in the garden or do you grow them in pots? How's the best way to look after them if you get one?
When I was younger, I started growing them in my dad's greenhouse with his tomatoes.
Right.
Because, you know, a lot of the books, they say that they're greenhouse plants. But about 9 years ago, we did a trial with the RHS, and we started growing them outside. And the trial was meant to be a 3-year trial, and everything survived, but they were 3 quite mild years, so they extended it to 5 years. And the lowest we had during the trial was -10 centigrade,
Right.
and everything survived. They didn't all thrive, but everything survived, and now we know what ones are good outside. So yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And these are very different to normal plants because they don't take their nutrients in through the roots, so you don't feed them with fertilizer.
No.
These are self-feeding, aren't they? They're carnivorous plants. They
Yes.
eat insects. How does it work? How do these catch their
Well,
food?
what they do, I mean, if we look at this one here, because it's closest to us, actually produce a nectar around the lid. You can see it glistening.
Oh, like a
on the top
sticky
here.
substance sort of thing, yeah.
And what it's like, it sort of smells like golden syrup. So it's very sweet, and it attracts scavenging insects such as flies, wasps and bluebottles. They then make their way down to the neck where there are larger deposits of this nectar. I don't know if you can see,
Yeah.
just in here. They start to eat this, but it also has an intoxicating effect on them.
Right.
So they get a bit unstable on their feet and they slide down into the tubes.
Oh, I see. So they go down into this sort of funnel
That's it.
effect, and then presumably when they're down there, they can't get out.
Well, halfway down there are downward pointing hairs, which makes it very difficult for them to climb back
Right.
out. And then below that, there's actually a digestive fluid, and that breaks the insect down, and that's where the plants get their nitrogen
So that
from.
is their nitrogen there.
Yeah.
Yes. So because these would grow in quite damp, boggy ground where there's little nutrient anyway. So that is how they've evolved to feed themselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
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 And
And they're
is-
very efficient. They are good at
Right.
catching.
And is that one plant there? Is that do they
that's,
sort of
that's a single plant.
so they
there.
bulk up, and make a big
Yeah,
clump?
these are all single plants. Yep. Yeah. So they just get bigger and bigger over the years. It does take quite a long time.
Yeah.
When this one, for example, will be about 12 to 14 years old.
Right, okay.
So
And
yeah.
as we can see, they come in all different shapes and sizes, you know, from the
Yeah.
really stocky ones to the red ones to these big, tall, yellowy green ones.
Yeah.
They are amazing, aren't they?
Yeah.
In the winter, I know they're hardy, but do you have to do any pruning or do they die down?
They don't look like this in the winter. They are herbaceous perennials, very similar to hostas, I suppose.
Okay.
So they lose all their foliage. Well, it all turns brown.
Right.
If you've got them in a glass house, an unheated glass house, then you would cut all the foliage down. And also, if you've got them out in the garden, to keep them looking nice, just trim them all up. They rest over the winter months. As I said, we don't put anything over them. That's the worst thing you can do is cover them, because it can get botrytis
Right,
or
okay.
grey mould.
Yeah.
And then they come back into growth, normally outside round about the end of March, under glass the end of February, a bit earlier.
And constant moisture, isn't it? They
Constant
do need
moisture, always damp in the winter, wet in the summer. If they dry, they die. If you remember that.
Dry, they die.
Yeah, you can't overwater them in the summer.
Okay, so stand them in a bit of water.
Yeah.
Okay, and then just before we go and look at some of the others, this type here, this sort of monkey cup, this one is a tropical plant, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, this is just a showcase of what we sell.
Exactly,
You can't grow these together.
No.
But yeah, this is a tropical pitcher plant. They're penthes. These come from Southeast Asia, and this is actually the leaf tip here. So the leaf comes down
I
here.
see,
You can
right, it's
see
an extension
the
of the
midrib
leaf.
carries on.
Yeah.
And yeah, they form these are unusual leaves. These aren't flowers, and it's similar fashion to the Sarracenia. They produce a nectar and the insects fall in. There's quite a strong digestive fluid in them, and that's where they get their nitrogen from. And there is one species, Nepenthes raja, that grows on Mount Kinabalu in Borneo, which produces cups the size of a rugby football, and they can actually catch mice and rats. So they are a true carnivorous plant.
They're pretty hungry plants. They are
very much so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, no, they're looking absolutely amazing. And so we've got the dinosaur here that might take a nibble as well.
Yeah.
So, but you've got lots of others on your sales table, because your nursery's in Hampshire, and you've got a huge collection of other insect-eating plants.
Yes,
some of them a bit smaller. So just want to tell us what you've got here.
Oh, there are so many of them, Martin, that are carnivorous. I mean, starting from up here, this is a British native again. This is Drossa rotundifolia. This is a sticky sundew. I don't know if you can see.
Oh yeah, all those little globules. It's just like glue,
can you make
isn't
that
it?
out there? How sticky?
Yeah, I see. It's like this.
So it's not water.
So where would this grow? This is a native.
Oh yeah, we find this from as far north as northern Scotland, down to the New
sort of
Forest
on the
near where we
peat
live.
bogs, that type of thing.
Any of the peat bogs, we have 3 natives, and this is one of them. This is rotundifolia. So this can be happily grown outside year round.
So that will attract, the sticky will attract little flies and midges and
flies, midges, things like that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, very small insects. Another one going across here. This is very unusual. Better show this one.
So dainty, isn't it? Beautiful little flowers.
Well, that's mainly what it's grown for. They've got traps on their stolons under the ground, and they're the most complex of all the carnivorous plants. The small round traps actually have a vacuum inside and a trapdoor that opens inwards, and a tiny trigger hair on the trapdoor. Now, when the small nematodes touch the trigger hairs, the vacuum opens the door, sucks the insect, and then shuts it behind it.
Yeah.
But very innocent looking above.
Isn't it?
The ground.
Just, yeah.
So it's all going on under the ground. So people grow this for the flowers. It's just for miniature flowers.
And nematodes keep away.
Yeah.
And these pretty flowers on these, I mean, you wouldn't expect that on a plant that's going to eat insects.
No, these are very, very popular at the moment. These are pinguicula or butterworts. And the name comes because if you touch the leaf, it's like touching a patch of butter.
It's not going to harm the plant.
No, please do, yeah.
Oh, it's sort of cold and a bit greasy feel to it, isn't it? Yes,
it is.
just like butter, yeah.
Yeah, and it catches very small scarab flies. So these are really popular with houseplant growers because you can pop them in with your houseplants and they mop up all the scarab fly, which seems to breed in their compost of houseplants. And they're far better looking than, say, the yellow sticky trappers.
Aren't they just?
And the idea of the trappets came from these plants. In the Victorian times, they used to grow these around their orchid collections indoors. To mop up the scarab fly.
So a totally organic way to catch these little compost flies in the house, and you get the bonus of the flowers as well.
Yep.
And I gather your love of carnivorous plants, because you've been doing it all your life, but it started as a child with one of these, didn't it? This is what started it all for you. Yes.
Yeah, we've got one here, you can see the Venus flytrap, and it all started with one of these, and I'd seen it on a natural history program. Do you know, I think it was David Bellamy. It wasn't a David Attenborough.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
And I think he was rolling around in the bog. I do remember the program quite well. And he talked about these, and the trap filled the screen, as it probably is now. And as a youngster, I really wanted one. And I was captivated when I'd seen it.
So you thought that trap was big?
Yeah, I really did. And when I first got my first one, I was very disappointed at how small they were. But no, that was the first plant. That's how it all started. And a lot of youngsters do start.
Are they still popular? People buy them still?
Very, very much so.
Tips on looking after them, because I know people try to force feed them, don't they?
They do. That's exactly what I did. I fed mine cheese and chocolate. Don't do that. If you can just get a saucer of rainwater. Rainwater is best.
Okay.
Sit the plant in rainwater and a very sunny windowsill, and try not to trigger the traps, because it does upset them, because each trap can only shut twice. So they want to catch flies. So just keep it in a saucer of rainwater, sunny windowsill, and that's the way you grow them.
Right,
okay. No fertiliser. Don't force feed them. They can't eat dead insects. They can tell the difference.
So what, because when they close, so a little fly, I won't touch it obviously, a little fly will go in there. What attracts the fly into it in the first place?
They do the colour and the smell. It does smell sweet.
Right, okay.
But I don't know if you can see inside there are 3 trigger hairs on each lobe. Can you see them?
Yeah, just little tiny spikes.
Tiny spikes. So if one of those trigger hairs is touched twice, the trap quickly closes. If it's only touched once, it won't. And also, the distance between them is very important. So if something the size of an ant crawled in there, it wouldn't be big enough to touch 2 of the trigger hairs.
Right.
Because the plant would use more energy closing than it would gain from eating an ant.
Clever.
So they want to catch things the size of a housefly.
Okay.
So yeah.
So if you've got one, don't play around with it.
Don't play around
touching
with it. I
'cause
know
you're
it's
gonna kill it.
tempting. I mean, everyone's going to want to do it,
I
but
know.
if you can leave them, you'll get one the size of this.
Yeah.
They'll grow quite big.
Fascinating. Well, they all are, and it's amazing how all these plants have just evolved over millions of years to feed themselves, you know.
In different ways, that's right.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, it's a wonderful display.
Oh,
have
thank
a good
you,
last
Martin.
day here, Matt, and I'm going to have another look at it. I'm just not going to get too close to some of those big ones.
And watch the dinosaurs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cheers.
Thanks, Martin.
Well, thank you for watching Pots and Trowels, and thank you to Matt. And if you want to follow Hampshire Carnivorous Plants, they're on Instagram and Facebook, so do look them up. We'll be back again next week with more gardening tips for you, so we'll see you then. Bye.